Right. Just a brief introduction to who I am. I'm Rich Novak. I moved here 5 years ago. I'm retired, and when I retired, I realized that I would have to find something to do, and I met a young man, my name is Dallas Romanowski at the university, through the Cameron Executive Network, as a matter of fact, my first volunteer effort, and found out he had a little business, and I looked at his little business and said, that would be a lot of fun to do that. And so he and I have joined forces. We're basically a four-legged stool. We do strategic business leadership with small to medium-sized companies to help them look at all aspects of the business to get traction in the marketplace. We organize and facilitate peer advisory boards, again, small companies, to take the owners who are non-competing, and we bring them together once a month for a board of directors meeting, and they serve as board of directors for each other, and then we coach them through the process in between board meetings. We do some executive coaching for some major organizations, high-level senior executives who have moved to a general manager role. And then when we're doing all this, the firm's called Cornerstone Advisory Partners, and Dallas is the founder. He calls me his equal partner, but he is the man, okay? He runs the place. And as we are working with about 50 businesses in Wilmington, nobody can find capital. They can't find the capital to get traction in their business. And so therefore, after meeting with a number of people, we decided that we are going to launch a small private equity fund, Cape Fear Conception Micro Angel Fund. It's part of a bigger group in the state of North Carolina. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Mark. And I guess you'll ask us some questions, but that's just sort of a brief summary of who I am. And here's the next most important guy to Dallas Romanowski.
So my name is Jonathan
How
Rowe.
did you go with you?
This is why the seat was open.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to set you up. No matter what happened, Jonathan.
So yeah, I'm the director of the Entrepreneurship Center at UNCW. I'm also a professor in the Entrepreneurship program. Just very quickly, I think the best way to sort of explain the Entrepreneurship Center without going into too much detail, taking too much time, is to think about our stakeholders. And two of them exist on campus with the students, first and foremost, at UNCW. Also our faculty and staff at UNCW, but then sort of beyond that, the entrepreneurial community in Southeast North Carolina is one of our critical stakeholders, as is Cape Fear Future, in terms of the future of this region and what entrepreneurship means in that future. And rather than, I think I'll actually end on a question, and maybe, hopefully this is one of the questions, Mark, that you've got on your list. And actually, I'd like to include the audience in this question. We're jumping right into what incubators are, and obviously different visions of them, but I think it's good to also, in the back of your mind, inform an answer to the question, why do we need an incubator? What is it that it's going to do that we currently don't have? And what is it going to create? Why do we need it? I think that's a really important question to think about before we jump too far into different designs of incubators. Why we need one. Let's step back and discuss that first. So that might have been one topic, so I'll just sort of leave that. And I know a lot of you have experience and knowledge in this, and I'm just from knowing a lot of you. So please share your thoughts on the question as well as we go through it.
I'm Doug Tarble with the Small Business Center at Cape Fear Community College. We have 3 or 4 prime functions. First and foremost, I see 120 to 150 people each year who walk in who are interested in starting a small business. And I see people who range from retired executives who have done very well, who are looking for something to do, and how do I start a consulting company in North Carolina, to the indigent, people who come to the Small Business Center walking or riding bicycles, don't have a computer, live in homeless shelters. They do, how do I start a small business? And what I can tell you is that every single time I talk to someone, it's always very interesting because people tell me about what they want to do, why they want to do it. I want to supplement my income, or I lost my home, I need to do this. The second thing we do is provide small business education to small business owners or future small business owners through somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 seminars a year, the vast majority of which are free to the public. We get somewhere around 2,000 individuals or attendees at these seminars every year. So we touch a lot of people here in the southeastern North Carolina. Third thing I do is if an existing small business needs an opinion, a new set of eyes, or someone to just bounce something off, I'm more than happy to do that. And lastly, I act as a liaison between our area and Cape Fear Community College with several state agencies. We're working right now with a program with the North Carolina Department of Revenue to help small business who are delinquent in taxes, working with them there. I'll work with the Department of Commerce to bring in our international trade experts. I'll work with the North Carolina Military Business Center, who, by the way, are going to be here in Wilmington in October for their big federal military contracting summit on October 20th. So I'm working with them, so we kind of liaison. If they're coming to southeastern North Carolina, they generally want to come to Cape Fear Community College for facilities and try to work with them on that.
Well, picking up right where Jonathan had mentioned, the next question I have for the panel now that we're introduced to everyone would be, and maybe we'll start on the end here with Doug and work back this way, would be, what is the case to be made for establishing a local incubator? And what, if any, is the case against the same? So,
well, I would argue that we do have incubators here. We have small incubators. We don't have a central incubator. Stan Turner in the back, Cape Fear Community Development Center has what I would consider a classic small business incubator, not too far from here. On the other side of Hazelville Home Bridge, down between us and Castlemaine. Classic small incubator. And for me, I'm an old manufacturing guy. I grew up, I was in manufacturing facilities and plants, and so hands on this, hands on that. When I think of incubators, in my mind, I think of a place where a new manufacturing company can get started. Not going to be a virtual office. I think of a place where a plumber, a carpenter, an HVAC guy needs a shop to drive his truck into without loading up his garage with all his tools and his vehicles. Stan's place has that kind of space with attached office space, so you can have a secretary and you can do whatever you have to do. I think of Johnny's place, William's place, that you can never do any manufacturing there, and no electrical contractor is going to be there necessarily as an incubator, but it's a valuable service for high-tech startups, office-related startups, people who are working on the phone behind the desk and on the computer. So that's one of that. And I know there's another one down in Lumen Station, I think, who's similar, who just started up. So we do have small incubators to some degree. We don't have a central incubator. We don't have a response center. But I will tell you this, because I've been there, we don't have the Entrepreneurship Center or the incubator at AV Tech. Those are huge places. I mean, those two places are hundreds of thousands of square feet, old factories that have gone into disrepair, that have been remodeled as incubator space. Some light manufacturing, a lot of office space. But the Nussbaum Center is half empty. AV Tech incubator 90,000 square foot building in downtown Charlotte for sale. Light bulb goes off. He's taking that space, completely renovating it. His company's going to be in it. He's going to take maybe 40,000 square feet. And he's converting 50,000 square feet into incubator space. So that's a central incubator that's going to be available to folks in Charlotte. So the question for us is, should there be a larger central incubator space combining light manufacturing, light industrial, tradespeople, and office space for techno type of guys to start up in a location that's more efficient? If we do that, and we can debate that, then we'll have 3 or 4 incubator spaces here in Rowe. And a lot of people don't know about all the spaces we have. The real issue, quite honestly, is not whether we have incubator space. The real issue, as I say, everyone I'm talking to has so much incubator space they can't fill it, is, as you were referring to, Rich, people have to be able to afford to get into incubator space. They can't afford to get into non-incubator space because they can't get capital. And the one thing the incubator space is supposed to do